Hey, how's it going today? Welcome to the new uh, Foul Play YouTube channel. I'm just a average guy, loves hunting ducks and other birds here in central North Carolina. So I wanted to share some of my thoughts and experiences, how I'm doing some stuff to try to kill a few ducks and to have a good time with some friends and family. So today it is August 1st, 2022. I'm out here at my buddy's farm. I'm very fortunate to have a very close friend that owns a family farm, was his grandparents' farm, um, and he allows me to come out and play in the water, chase some ducks, have a good time. We got a few beaver ponds out here right off the creek. We're east of Raleigh, so about a half hour out of town, and we get a few wood ducks in here. I occasionally see some mallard and some teal. A few geese will roost in the winter up the road. Haven't seen any of those while hunting. Heard them a few times. But your basic central North Carolina wood duck shoot, if you will. Have had some mallards come in on us, but not gotten any shots on those. Last year was the first time we really put some effort into hunting this farm. Did a little bit of some improvements um, to try to draw them in, cleared, tried to plant a little bit of brown top millet, but unfortunately that got flooded out literally the day after I planted it. So that didn't work out so well. This year, had a little bit of a similar experience, but with Japanese millet, and I think some of it's coming in. Also, I planted some rice this year, so I do have some ability to control water here with a little bit of backbreaking work, but was able to plant some rice, and that has come up. Haven't seen, been out of town visiting family back in my home state of Kentucky, so have not been out here for 2 weeks. So I'm coming in. I know we got some rain. I have some trail cameras set up, taking time lapse pictures, and I was checking that throughout the time away to see how things were going. Got some rain. It was pretty wet here in North Carolina the last couple weeks of July. We've been in drought, but it's been pretty wet the last couple weeks. So going in right now to one of my main holes where I've really put the most effort this year. Cleared some trees, cleared a bunch of buckbrush, and I got rice and Japanese millet in here. So we're going to sneak down the hill here and see what it looks like. All right, and there is Miss Rosie right now, an 11-year-old black lab female. This will be her first season. She will turn 1 year old on our dove opener September 3rd. So been working with her to try to get ready. Hopefully she's ready. All right, we're coming down the hill here into what I call the bean hole, because if you saw from my shoulder, we're right next to a soybean field. And coming down here to see what we got. Have a lot of green vegetation coming up. Last year, wow, I think we got some good stuff coming in here. Last year I had a lot of yellow nutsedge, also known as chufa, which ducks will eat. It makes a little nut on the bottom. I know turkeys love it as well. And I think we've got, I'm going to have to get in here and look at this closer. I think we got a lot of good stuff growing here. So I'm going to try to do a little plant identification and see what we got. But you can see this is a small hole, not a half an acre. Got some things going on here. This has held water for years. We can see how the beavers have backed it up over here. That direction, if you follow this channel, there's a creek right beyond those trees over there. That when the water comes up, the beavers have dug a ditch out there. We'll go take a look at that. And that's how this floods. So the creek's been down, like I mentioned earlier. We've been in drought for North Carolina for most of the summer, pretty dry. But when it comes up, we did have a pretty big flood here early July, I think. I'd have to check the date on that. This was all underwater. The creek will come up high enough that this is all underwater, and it held some water. But I've got some things here I'll talk about, do a segment specifically on how I control water. But right now, we're just looking around. So let's go take a look and see how our seed's doing. Well, we got some good germination here with some of this Japanese millet. The smaller, lighter green stuff is definitely millet. I planted that right before I went out of town, like middle of July, and it seems to be coming up nicely. We also have, if you can see in there, we have a lot of smartweed here. Yeah, you can even see it start to make some flowers there. Smartweed, which is good duck food. And in some places, we even have some arrowhead, also known as duck potato, growing as well. I'm not sure if that is it. Here we go. Here's a big one right there, which I believe is that duck potato. Makes some tubers, which actually I believe Native Americans even ate as well, but ducks like it. So we got a real smorgasbord here of duck food going on. Looks like there's some smartweed. You probably can't see that on the camera. That's all buckbrush in there that it was just too wet when I was clearing. I couldn't get to it. So let's walk around the side, see what we got. Soil is good and wet. We've had lots of rain. This is all millet in here. May have overdone it. I'm planning to build a blind right over there next to those 3 or 4 trees facing out that way. If this is all millet that I planted to stay legit with baiting laws, I can't knock it down. So it'll be interesting to see what we have for a kill hole in here. Millet doesn't last too long though, so I flood it. I'm not going to flood it for our October season, but if I flood it out for maybe first or second week of November, actually we come back in the 5th of November, I think. I have to check the dates. But this stuff will probably break down pretty fast, the Jap millet. The stuff that's not Jap millet, if it's that yellow nuts edge, it's going to have a conversation with Mr. Weed Eater, and we'll knock that down. Coming around here to the side, more good stands of smartweed. I got one field, another hole over the other end of the property that was just absolutely loaded with this stuff. And it was looking good. It was flooded when I left. I'm going to go back over there in a minute. I'll show you that hole, see if it's still flooded. But here we got some more of that arrowhead duck potato, making nice, tasty duck food. All right, moving around back here. This is where this hole is fed from the creek. And there goes Miss Rosie again. So coming in from here, there's some wild millet there. Creek is up a little bit, which does not make me unhappy at all. But you can see where I filled in this ditch where the beavers come through here. Now last year, 2021 season was pretty wet. This was all underwater last year. Ankle deep, not super deep, ankle deep right here in these trees. If we go out here and we'll look at the creek here that is feeding our hole, that's the main creek. Down, you can see a beaver hut right there. Let's step out. Actually, beaver hut right here as well. Can I get a good view down there? It may be hard to see, but there is a beaver dam down there. I think they may have abandoned it a little bit. Upstream, they're working on another beaver dam. We're actually rebuilding an old one that was there 10, 15 years ago. They got blown out by a hurricane. But it's holding a little more water now. I would like to see this higher. Hopefully by the season, we'll get some more rain. I want to see this up, kind of level with the bank here. I'll improve my berm there. But if it doesn't flood, we do have Mr. Harbor Freight water pump here I bought last season. I'll talk about that more in a later segment. But so far, very satisfied with this really inexpensive 3-inch trash pump. All right, we're going to walk around. I'm going to head to the other side, and I'll show you that. About halfway around the hole now. We started out over there. I'm going to get on close of it, but if you see that darker green shoots over there, the lower stuff, that's rice. And I got some coming up back there as well. I put it out everywhere, but I had a lot of competition from other vegetation in the field, so it did not make as well as I would have liked. But there's going to be some. Rice is great. Everybody knows rice. Ducks love rice. If you've ever been to Arkansas, you see ducks love rice. One of the great things about it, though, is it lasts in the water pretty much longer than anything. Jap millet won't last very long. Once it gets wet, it'll rot, but that rice will hang around. We don't have a bunch of it, but it's coming in nicely. One thing I have not been able to determine, if anybody is watching this wants to clue me in, I'll appreciate it, is identifying this yellow nutsedge compared to my Japanese millet. There's a lot of greenery in here. I believe, let me pull one of these out. The way this comes out, I don't know if you can see that center stalk. I believe the way that comes out like that, I am pretty certain, that didn't come up well, that's the yellow nutsedge. So I think most of this is nutsedge, which is great. If I don't have any millet growing in here, I will weed eat this bad boy down and make a kill hole for us. So let's get on the other end, take a look at our rice. All right, walking around some more. Things are looking good, very green. Like I said, it's 1st of August, so we still got a good solid 2 months of growing season going on here. So things are coming in nicely. As I mentioned, I have not figured out how to tell the difference at this stage between the Japanese millet and that yellow nutsedge. I even looked at pictures online, and they look the same. So I can't tell the difference. So, yeah, like I said, if anybody can help me out, I will take it. All right, let me flip you guys around, and we will take a look at some rice here. That's rice right there. Pretty decent stand of it. I think this stuff went in late June. Wasn't real sure how long it would take to mature, so I figured, well, longer is better than not long enough. That's a nice little stand of rice. And you can see it, it's running all the way down. There's a ditch that runs through there. That might be millet. I'm not sure what that tall stuff is. It looks good. This is coming in nicely. I'll be very happy here. All right, we just checked out the main hole here. Did some clearing this year. Took down about 8 or 9 trees, just trying to open up the sky a little bit. Depending on rain, we can get water well back into these trees, so I may take out more, depending on how this season goes. We're going to walk in the back. We can follow this low spot, which is still very wet, back in here to a little, kind of what I call the timber hole, a little more secluded. Didn't hunt it last year, but some wood ducks were coming in here. We got lots of good smartweed, which is always good to see. This is good stuff here. You can see some of that light green. I did put some millet out in here, and rice as well. I don't know how well that rice is going to do back here. I don't know how well anything's going to do, because it is pretty shaded. But when the water gets up, this section will flood nicely, and birds will come in. So got lots of good stuff growing there. Millet here. I don't know how she's going to do without much sun. It stays pretty much full shade. That's millet. Smartweed. Looks like we might have some rice over here. This is tricky to hunt too, which my colleague here should solve, is this is a really, really soft bottom. This had been dry for a couple weeks and I couldn't walk in it. It was sucking my boots off, and it's wet right now. Got hip boots on today. But hopefully my colleague here will at least solve the issue if we shoot any ducks. Let's sneak out a little bit farther here. We got millet growing everywhere. I'll tell you what, guys, if you got a piece of property, you want something simple, Japanese millet on a mud flat, it doesn't get any easier than that. This stuff will grow on a mud flat very well. It requires full sun. This has been out here for a while. I do see it out here 2 or 3 different times. Millet's coming in. Doesn't look like the rice germinated at all. I think this stayed wet, so it's not wild rice. Wild rice, I think, will germinate and grow through water. But this stuff, it was certified Rex rice, whatever that means. I got it from an online retailer. So I'm not too worried about this hole. This is mostly just drawing ducks to the area. I probably won't hunt this area, not this season. But hey, it's a great secluded spot for wood ducks. They were hanging out in here pretty thick last year. So I'm hoping if I get a little bit of seed in here, something interests them, just keep them in the area. All right, coming up the other side of the bean hole here. Got some undesirables here. I'm not sure what this is. It might, well, actually there's flowers growing on it. Maybe it's not as undesirable as I thought. Maybe it'll make a seed. I think we have some alligator weed in here. You can't see it right now. There was a lot of buckbrush in here. We'll see some as we walk up. I spent some time last year and this year as well trying to get it down to open up this hole. But there's still stumps out there, which if you've ever waded through a swamp in the dark, in mud, you know you don't like that. Got a little millet coming up here all along the bank, goes all the way down through here. This was a later seeding, maybe mid-July. Doesn't get full sun. So this was kind of a bit of a Hail Mary, just I had seed. I thought, well, let's throw it out, see what happens. So it is growing. So far, it doesn't look like the deer are eating it. But man, it's looking good. Here we're getting into some of the buckbrush I mentioned. This whole area was full of buckbrush. You can't see it now because of the stuff growing up, but working on getting that out. I like to leave some around the banks because wood ducks will hide up in it, but for the most part, getting it out. All right, here's something interesting. So I am pretty sure, if you can see that, let me get in. I am pretty sure that's that yellow nutsedge, the chufa. So that's interesting. Here I got a plant that's a little different. There's big, thick, heavy stalks coming out of that. I look over here. It has that flat, the leaves come in flat, or the stem comes in flat, which I've always associated with sedges. But the plant is different. You can see how it comes up stalk. I don't know. So again, man, plant experts speak up. I guess I'll know, as tall as this is, if that is millet, it should be making seed heads here before too much longer. It's going to be tall. If that's all millet, man, I will not be an unhappy man. But we'll see. But as you can see, I know for sure this is millet, this light green stuff. This is going to get pretty sun. This is the south, facing south here. So get out a compass if you want to know what the other directions are. But it gets good sun. Sun comes up, hits this. So I think this stuff will come on, and we should have plenty of time. I know some guys, another channel I follow, which I'll put a link out there, another guy local, he's just planting some right now. Stuff grows fast, so hopefully this will be good. Yeah, I don't think that's millet, but man, we'll see. The way it's coming up. Here you can see lots of buckbrush, lots of this other stuff in here. I lobbed some seed over there, but I didn't really plant anything. Actually, it looks like some of that green stuff's growing right there. So I do plan to come back sometime before the season and knock that down as much as I can. Eventually, I'll clear it out, maybe before next season. That may get a little glyphosate on there to take that stuff out for good. But yeah, that's the tour of the bean hole. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far. Trying to pick my way through here without falling down. And if I do enough of these videos, I will fall down. So, all right, we're gonna walk back up the hill. Got some nice millet, and maybe that's rice. That's a darker green, and it's growing up straighter. I threw seed all around here. Some seeds have been rooted over. I bet that is deer. You can see the footprints. Deer are coming through here pretty heavy, which is not a bad thing. Just don't want to eat all my stuff. All right, so we're going to head on out, tour the other holes, see if one of my other holes is flooded. If it is, we're going to get a shovel, and you get to watch me dig.